The desert was not a place where things should bleed. Eli Barrett had been walking for 3 hours since his truck broke down somewhere off Highway 50, the so-called loneliest road in America. He was used to isolation, he liked it even. After losing his job in Reno and walking away from the kind of relationship that left scars deeper than sandstorms, he'd set out across Nevada to clear his head. Now, the sun was a molten coin sinking into the horizon, and the air carried the chill of approaching night. His canteen was half empty. His boots were caked with dust, and his mind wandered between exhaustion and that strange, meditative peace that only came from being utterly alone. Then he saw it, something glittering ahead. At first, Eli thought it was metal, maybe another wreck or a shard of glass catching the last rays of sun. But as he approached, the shape shifted, not rigid but organic, like something alive. It was a body. He froze. The figure lay face down in the sand, limbs twisted unnaturally, hair, if that's what it was, spread around her like strands of liquid silver. Her skin shimmered faintly, almost luminescent, though she looked fragile, brittle, as if she might dissolve into dust with one wrong move. He knelt beside her. She wasn't human. Her features were too precise, too symmetrical, the cheekbones carved like sculpture, the lips faintly tinted blue, her eyes half open and showing irises like mirrored moons. A strange, membranous suit clung to her body, torn in several places. Beneath one gash in the fabric, he saw dark, viscous blood, not red but deep violet. "Jesus!" Eli muttered, instinctively checking for a pulse. Her chest rose faintly, barely perceptible. Life. He hesitated. Every part of him screamed, "Get away." Whatever she wasn't supposed to exist. But another part of him, the one that had spent months wrestling with loneliness and guilt, refused to let another living thing die alone. He gently rolled her onto her back. Her lips parted, and a whisper escaped them. It wasn't English. It wasn't any language he recognized. But her tone was desperate, pleading. Her hand reached up, trembling, and brushed his wrist. He felt it, a spark, sharp and cold, shoot up his arm, and suddenly he saw flashes. A cratered planet under twin suns, a ship tearing through black storms, and pain. So much pain. He jerked back, gasping. The connection broke. Her eyes fluttered open again, pale silver pools, and fixed on him. She spoke one word, this time clearer. "Blood." Eli blinked. "What?" Her lips barely moved. "Blood need." He swallowed hard, staring at her fangs. Small, pearly, but unmistakably sharp. "You've got to be kidding me." But she looked ready to die. He glanced around the empty desert, the sky turning purple above. There was nothing out here. No help, no light, no sound except the wind whispering over sand. "All right," he muttered. "I've lost my mind anyway." He pulled out his pocket knife, cut a shallow line across his palm, and held it out. She stared for a heartbeat, then latched onto his wrist with surprising strength. Her mouth pressed to his skin, and the world exploded. A shock of icy fire ran through him, not pain exactly but something older, more primal. His heart hammered. He tried to pull away, but she held him, trembling, drinking just enough to regain her strength. When she finally released him, her breathing steadied. The glow beneath her skin returned, faintly pulsing like bioluminescent veins. Eli sat back, dizzy. "You're welcome," he murmured. The alien woman blinked, her expression unreadable. Then she said haltingly, "You help." "Yeah, guess I did." She nodded, a strangely graceful motion, and then with effort sat up. To the stranger from the stars. Her name, or something like it, was Sothera. At least that's how it sounded when she said it. Over the next few hours, Eli managed to piece together fragments of her story through gestures, expressions, and a strange form of empathy that seemed to pass between them when she touched him. Cythera was a Dravari, a species that lived not by food but by the lifeblood of other organisms. Not predators in the human sense, more like symbiotes. On her world, feeding was sacred, a ritual of sharing energy. She'd been part of an exploratory fleet studying energy signatures in remote star systems when something attacked, a rogue weapon or an ancient defense system from a dead civilization. Her ship had been crippled, forced into emergency descent, and crashed somewhere beyond this desert. Now she was stranded, injured, and cut off from her energy reserves, starving to death in a world of dry dust and thin air. Eli couldn't quite believe any of it, but the evidence lay right in front of him. Her faintly glowing skin, her alien blood, the metallic taste still lingering in his mouth from the brief contact. They found shelter for the night in an old mine shaft half buried in the dunes. Eli made a fire from what little brush he could gather. Cythera sat across from him, watching the flames as if she'd never seen fire before. "You come from here?" she asked, her English slowly forming. "Yeah," he said. "Earth. This planet. Middle of nowhere, to be exact." "Desert," she said softly. "It hurts." "Yeah. Tell me about it." He wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. "You need more blood." She shook her head. "No, not now. You gave much. You will weaken." Eli laughed faintly. "You talk like my doctor." She tilted her head. "Doctor? Never mind." For a while they sat in silence, the crackle of the fire echoing through the cavern. Eli studied her face. Strange, ethereal, yet expressive. Despite her alienness, there was something heartbreakingly human in her eyes, a loneliness that mirrored his own. Finally he asked, "Is anyone coming for you?" Cythera's expression darkened. "I send signal. Ship destroyed." No answer. He felt a pit open in his stomach. "So you're stuck here?" She nodded. He looked at her, a creature from the stars stranded on a dying stretch of desert, and realized that, for once, someone needed him. Blood and memory. The next few days blurred together. Eli led Cythera through the desert, searching for the wreck of her ship. At night, they sheltered under outcroppings of rock. She taught him words from her language. He taught her how to use a compass. Each evening her strength faded. She fed only when she absolutely had to, taking small sips of his blood, always reluctant. It left Eli weak, but he didn't care. There was a strange euphoria in the exchange. Not just physical but mental. He began to see fragments of her thoughts, towering crystalline cities under alien skies, oceans of light, a civilization that sang to the stars. Once, after feeding, she pressed her forehead to his. "You see," she whispered. "Now we linked. What does that mean? You carry my light. I carry your life." Eli didn't fully understand, but he felt it. A pulse connecting them across something deeper than biology. On the 5th day they found the crash site. The remains of the vessel jutted from the sand like the ribs of a dying whale. Sleek black metal, twisted and scorched. Most of it was beyond repair, but deep within the wreck, a faint hum still resonated. Cythera touched the surface, and the metal responded, glowing faintly beneath her palm. "Core lives," she murmured. Eli followed her inside. The air shimmered faintly, heavy with static. Strange symbols pulsed along the walls, flickering between alien glyphs and English letters as the ship tried to translate its systems for him. In the central chamber, a sphere of liquid light floated above a pedestal, pulsing like a giant heartbeat. "Energy core," she said. "I need stabilize. But my blood weak." Not enough. Eli frowned. You mean you need more of mine? She looked away. Too much. You die. He hesitated. Then what happens to you? She said nothing. Yeah, he muttered. Didn't think so. He rolled up his sleeve. Tell me what to do. Her eyes widened. Eli, just tell me. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. Hold here. She guided his hand to the base of the pedestal, where a sharp crystal protruded. Blood joins energy. Core reborn. He pressed his palm against it. The crystal pierced his skin. Blood flowed, bright against the alien surface. The sphere reacted instantly. Light flared, flooding the chamber, wrapping around them both in ribbons of energy. Eli felt his consciousness stretch, pulled through Sathera's mind, through the ship, through stars themselves. He saw her world, Drava Prime, a luminous planet of glass and shadow, now burning under invasion. He saw her people fleeing, hunted by creatures of darkness that devoured light itself. He saw her mission to find new energy to save her race. And then he saw himself reflected in her memory, not just as a human, but as something brighter, woven into her destiny. When the light faded, Eli collapsed. Sathera caught him, tears glimmering like quicksilver. You gave too much, she whispered. He smiled weakly. Guess we're even. The ship's systems pulsed to life around them, the hum rising into a low, harmonic chord. Now, she said, I can call them. Your people. She nodded. They will come. For the hunters that night, the stars burned unnaturally bright. Eli lay beside the ship, recovering slowly. Sathera stood watch, her gaze fixed on the sky. Something comes, she said quietly. Your rescue. Her expression tightened. Not rescue. Hunters. Before he could respond, a shadow streaked across the sky, a burning object descending fast. It slammed into the desert miles away, shaking the ground beneath them. Sathera's skin flared with panic. They followed. The ones who destroyed us. Eli struggled to his feet. What do we do? She looked at him, the faint glow in her eyes hardening into resolve. We fight. The air filled with a high-pitched whine as shapes approached across the sands. Tall, angular beings like shards of obsidian, their movements liquid and insect-like. Their bodies absorbed light, swallowing the stars. Eli grabbed the nearest thing that looked like a weapon, a rod from the ship that vibrated when he touched it. Sathera stood beside him, veins glowing brighter than ever. When the first hunter lunged, she moved like lightning, claws of energy slicing through its carapace. The creature dissolved into smoke, but more followed. Eli swung the rod, and to his surprise, it emitted a pulse of pure energy, blasting one of them backward. Not bad for a desert hobo, he muttered. Sathera's lips curved faintly. You learn fast. They fought side by side, back to back, until the last of the hunters fell. But victory came at a cost. Sathera staggered, her glow dimming. Sathera! He caught her as she fell. Core damaged again, she gasped. I cannot heal. Eli felt her trembling. He knew what she needed before she said it. Take it, he whispered. Take whatever you need. No, she said weakly. You die. I don't care. She looked at him, eyes shimmering. Why? Because you don't leave someone to die alone, he said simply. Not out here. For a long moment she hesitated, then leaned forward, pressing her lips to his neck. This time the connection wasn't pain. It was everything. Memory, emotion, stars, love, death, and light all flooding together. He saw her world reborn, her people rising again, powered by the life he gave. When she pulled away, tears streamed down her face. "Eli, you are part of me now." He smiled faintly. "Guess that makes me half alien." The dawn of two worlds, he woke to sunlight. The desert stretched out around him, quiet again. The ship stood restored, gleaming black metal, hovering just above the sand. Sathara stood nearby, her suit repaired, her glow radiant. She looked down at him with something close to sorrow. "You live," she said softly. "Barely." He sat up, wincing. "Guess you didn't drain me dry after all." She smiled faintly. "I took only what you could give." Eli gazed at the ship. "So you're leaving?" She nodded. "My people wait. But I will return." He didn't know whether to believe her, but when she placed her hand over his heart, he felt that pulse, the shared bond, still there, thrumming like a second heartbeat. "You carry my light," she said. "We are bound." "Yeah," he whispered. "I'll hold you to that." She stepped back, eyes glistening like twin moons. "Farewell, Eli Barrett of Earth." He watched as she ascended the ramp, the ship's engines igniting with a sound like thunder wrapped in song. The desert wind whipped around him, stinging his eyes as the craft rose into the sky. Moments later it was gone, a star vanishing into the dawn. Eli stood there for a long time, staring at the empty sky. His pulse still beat with a strange, faint light beneath his skin. He didn't know if anyone would ever believe what happened. A dying alien vampire in the desert, a bond sealed by blood and light. But he knew this much. He wasn't alone anymore. Somewhere among the stars, a part of him still lived, and one day maybe she'd come back. He looked east, where the sun broke over the dunes, and smiled. For the first time in years, Eli Barrett felt alive.